Hi guys, welcome back to Girl Therapy. I'm your host, Nicole. As you can see, we're not in my bed today. I am in the studio because I'm recording 2 episodes in one today. So the first one, you guys just have me. And the second one, I do have a very special guest on. I have a dear friend, a dear new friend, Hannah. You may know who she is. I'll introduce her fully in the next episode. I just want to get you guys excited for the next episode. So she's a fellow TikToker who kind of started her journey the same way I did, which was oversharing her dating life. So she will be on next week's episode. So make sure you tune into that one. But for now, like I said, it's just me. So let's dive into today's topic. And we are going to be talking about how to get out of a rut. Every single week, if I'm talking about something, it's something that I'm working through. And last week I was in a rut, and I feel like you guys think I don't get in ruts because you constantly see me in the gym and like sticking to a pretty similar routine. And like, I'm so positive and happy, but I get in ruts. Like, I'm a human. I experience ruts just as much as you do. And I think in the past, I used to really beat myself up for it, and I try to like power through them and push through them. I now know to listen to my body and to actually hear what my body is saying and to give myself exactly what I need. Because I was thinking about this today. Something that is so special about me and why I know I'm such a good friend and why I know that I'm a good, person just to have in general around, and why I think I'm going to be such a good partner to somebody one day is that I always give people exactly what they need. I can acclimate in any sort of situation. If somebody is really stressed about something, I will be their calm. If somebody is excited about something, I'll match their excitement. If somebody needs help, I'll help them. If somebody is stressed, I will do the best thing that I can do to relieve their stress. If somebody is afraid, I will be unafraid for them. Like, if you're freaking out about a spider, I'll be the person to squash it for you. And I started practicing that with myself, where it's like, if I'm feeling a type of way, how can I counteract this feeling? What can I give myself? If this was a friend that was feeling this way, what would I do for them? So I just started implementing that on myself. And if my friend was feeling tired or, exhausted and their body hurt, I wouldn't say, power through it, go to the gym, go take classes, who cares? I would be like, oh, sit at home, take a rest day, take a rest week, listen to your body, take a bath, read a book, do some yoga, do a stretch, go for a walk. Don't push yourself. That's what I would tell somebody. So I started just telling that to myself. And like I said, in the past, I would push through it. If I didn't want to go to the gym, I'd be like, we're going to the gym. And a lot of that was because I faced a lot of guilt when it came to skipping gym days. And I also struggled with my relationship with food and the gym. And I would feel like all progress was lost if I didn't go to the gym that week, or I was weak if I didn't go to the gym when I wasn't feeling like going, or I, was going to gain weight. Whatever my negative thought patterns were, I would give into those, and it was really unhealthy. And just this past week, I was feeling really tired. I was feeling unmotivated. I hadn't even been going on my walks really. And I'd been forcing myself to still try to go, but I'd go on them and I would just like be sluggish and hating it and not leaning into the experience. And I just didn't find myself wanting to go to the gym. And I would go to the gym and I would like do nothing there. I would get there and I'd stretch and I do things, I do the motions, but I was counting down the minutes till I could leave. And I'm not like that. That's so unlike me. And I found myself wanting to do less and less of the things that were good for me because it started to feel like a burden and it started to feel like not what I needed. So this past week, instead of pushing myself, I said, Nicole, you can have the week off. You can have the week off. If you want to go to the gym, you can go to the gym, but allow yourself to have the week off. And I did. And I didn't go to the gym for a week. I can't remember the last time I didn't go to the gym for a week just because I didn't want to go. There's been times where I don't go to the gym for a week because I'm really busy or I'm traveling, but never because I was just home and I was like, I don't want to go. And that's okay. And I allowed myself that. And I can't tell you like how good it felt with no guilt, no pressure, no nothing. It was just, you don't have to go, Nicole. And I didn't go. And I found myself waking up earlier. I found myself wanting to go on my walks because I was excited to get some movement in. And I woke up this week. I took the whole week off and I still did yoga. I still went on my walks, but I didn't do anything crazy. I really just listened to what my body needs, and I did a lot of salt baths, and I read and I relaxed. And I was really feeling so refreshed and so in tune with my body. And I felt like I really respected myself. I respected my own boundaries. I showed my body love, and it repaid me. And I woke up this week at 6 a.m. Daylight savings is definitely helping. But I can't tell you the last time I just woke up at 6 a.m. and I was like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to like put on my gym clothes. I'm excited about this week. I'm excited to get back into the gym. I'm excited to go on my walks again. Like I was out of the house by 7 a.m. I can't remember the last time that I like was up and at 'em, bright eyed, bushy tail, ready to go. And I went on my walks and I've been getting my steps in again. And it's been feeling so good. I didn't get to go to the gym today, and I was like, that's okay. Like I was still not really ready. I think I'm going to be ready tomorrow, but I feel really powerful instead of feeling weaker for not going to the gym. And instead of feeling guilty for not going to the gym, I feel like I did something really good for myself. And it kind of got me out of the rut. I just want to share with you guys, I think this is a good way to start the episode. And it's, a lot of you guys know I'm going through my yoga teacher training, and it's not just about learning yoga. A lot of yoga is philosophy and learning the Buddhist way, learning the Hindu way, and learning why we do yoga. And it's not a workout, it's a practice. And why people turn to yoga, I think so many people turn to yoga not because they want to exercise, not because they want to lose weight. That's never why I did it. I turned to yoga because I was hurting and I needed to heal physically in some senses. Like I did hurt my knee, but I really needed to heal my mental state, and I needed to get comfortable in stillness, and I needed to face some demons, and I just wanted something for an hour I dedicated to myself. And I moved in a way that made me feel good, and I moved in a way that my body needed, in a way that my mind needed. And that's why I started yoga. So in our yoga teacher training, like I said, it's not just about learning how to do a warrior one, right? It's learning everything that's behind it. And we're learning right now about the 8-limbed path. And I want to share this because it's the journey to enlightenment. And there's aspects of it, and we'll never get to full enlightenment, but that could be a whole other episode. But there's aspects of it that I think really speak to getting out of a rut and can be applied to our everyday lives. This is like an overarching theme that I want to express to you guys before I get started on this episode and diving into what we can do. The only way to see what's next is to clean your slate now. I can't tell you how important this is to getting out of a rut, because a lot of the times we're in a rut because we're tired of the same things. We're not feeling excited. We're not enthusiastic about life. We're not looking forward to things. Everything just feels like meh. Everything just feels like, what's worth living for anymore? Like, what am I doing? Like, that's what a rut is to me. A rut to me is like, what am I doing? Like, nothing has purpose. Nothing feels like it has purpose. I'm not happy. I am just not taking care of myself. I'm not nurturing myself. And it's really hard to be motivated when you're in a rut. So the first part of the 8-limbed path that I think is the first thing to getting out of a rut is cleanliness. So cleanliness is about not only cleaning your physical space, which I think is so important to getting out of a rut, because that's energy. We need to clear out old energy. We need to clear out energy that isn't serving us. And energy is held in spaces. When I'm looking around and I'm looking at a messy room, or I'm looking at messy, dirty things, it's giving unclean. It's giving I don't care. And that's holding energy. Like, I look at that and it gives me a wave of like stress and anxiety, and I just feel unclean. I feel like I feel like the clutter. And that makes me feel like in a rut. Like when I see a messy space, I get overwhelmed, and then it makes me it like paralyzes me almost. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's dramatic, but it's not. I think like that's how I feel. So cleanliness is so important, especially when it comes to, your workout stuff and your clothes and your room and there's surfaces that you're always on all the time. And even your phone, like cleaning my phone, I always feel like a different person a lot of the times. I'm like, whoa, new phone. I can see my screen. Like the buttons aren't sticky. But like cleaning down my yoga mats too, like that's like, it's like I'm washing away all this old energy that's on it. Like a lot of energy is in my yoga mats because so much goes into my classes and there's such a big, large energy exchange there. And sometimes I cry in classes. It's like my old tears are dried on my mat, so cleanliness, like cleaning off the mat, cleaning off the old energy that's there. And that goes into like your physical space. I think to get out of a rut, you need to clean the space that's surrounding you. You need to get rid of all that old energy, especially if you're in a space where maybe you just went through a breakup. Maybe the last time that you were in that kitchen, you had an argument with somebody or you cried, right? There's been so many times where I look at spaces in my apartment and I'm like, oh, like that's where, that happened or that's where that happened. So to cleanse your space is doing a lot more than you think it is. And cleanse the air too, like use Palo Santo, use some sort of incense, use something that you need to clean the air of your space too, because it will feel refreshed. Actually, last week I was inspired to also clean out my closet because a lot of the times when I start to get going with cleaning, I can't stop. That's the beauty of it too. I think a lot of getting out of a rut is just starting. Because once you're there, it's like, I'm here to work. I'm ready to go. And I also like hyper fixate on things. So if I start cleaning something, I'm going to start looking around at like all the other things that need cleaning. So the space is getting cleaned. It just takes me getting over the initial hump of doing the thing. And I think the way to get over that hump is to give yourself a small task. And then you're going to do the little thing that you have to do. And then you're like, oh, well, that wasn't that bad. Like I was being dramatic. Like I was really just procrastinating because I wanted to do that, but it wasn't that hard. And now I feel good. And when you start to feel yourself feeling good is when that gives you the motivation to continue doing the thing that makes you feel good. So I started cleaning my room and I was like cleaning everything. And then I was like getting into my closet and I was like, let me get rid of a few things. And I just started going at it like unplanned. I just started going at it and I ended up getting rid of 2 big trash bags of clothes. And I am going to actually clean out like my whole closet. Like my goal this year is to honestly do a whole refresh. And I'm really blessed and grateful that I can do that and like get rid of my clothes and make room for a new me and a new, I feel like my style's changed and I feel like the things that I wear is different and the things that I wear, I want to represent me, not me in my shirt that says my boyfriend's out of town right now. I'm like, I want to wear things that represent me. I didn't realize too that this is from a show or a movie or something, or this is like a quote that's like, well, no, it's not like I'm being like a whore. Like my boyfriend's out of town. Like I'm going to cheat on him. I would never. But yeah, I think like I've changed so much and looking at my old clothes, like those aren't me anymore. And I look at even some of my clothes and I'm like, oh, I remember I went to the casino and that. And I remember like I went to the club and that. Like I don't want that stuff anymore. Like I want to clean out that energy because it all does hold energy and it brings me back to those places. It definitely helped me get out of my little rut when I started cleaning and I cleaned my closet, and I'm going to continue to do that because there's definitely more stuff in there. Just sometimes I have to do it in like segments because I'll start to overthink things or I'll start to think like, well, maybe I do want to hang on to that. It can be a little bit overwhelming to get rid of a lot of things at once. So I'm going to go through it again and then slowly and surely start investing in myself and my style again and investing in things that make me feel good. And that's going to feel like really refreshing and I'm going to feel like brand new. Like, the feeling when you put on a new pair of clothes and you're like, oh, that feels good. And I think even buying a new workout set sometimes can motivate you to go to the gym, maybe get out of that rut of not wanting to go is, well, I'm excited now to like wear this new workout set and go to the gym in it and feel good in it. Like that always helps me. Sometimes you do need to motivate yourself with a little treat. Speaking of treats, also like my sourdough. Before I get into my sourdough, actually, back to the cleanliness thing. So not only should we be cleaning our physical space, you need to clear and purify your mind. You need to purify your emotions to heal wounds and to give yourself room to heal, to give yourself room to work through things. So whatever it is that's going on in your head, because I think when you are in a rut, there's usually a reason for it. There's usually something that's going on it's not just I'm in a rut, but I feel really good. Like usually there's something that triggered it or something that happened, or maybe a feeling that you keep recycling or a thought that you keep recycling. There's something going on. And I think instead of trying to fight that and run away from that, and instead of letting it transpire into your everyday life and really impact your physical well-being and your routine, is to confront it and to be like, okay, this is bothering me. And it's really hard to do that sometimes because you don't want to admit that something's bothering you. You don't want to admit that there's a fault with you. You don't want to work through things because that's hard. It's easier to just kind of let it affect every aspect of your life and just be sad or just be mopey or just, be whatever. And that's okay. To feel that way is totally normal and valid, but to feel that way consistently is not. Then you're choosing that. So if there's something that's going on up there, clean out your head. And you do that by journaling. You do that by speaking out loud. Sometimes I'll speak to myself. Sometimes I'll speak to God. You do that by maybe talking to friends if you're comfortable doing that, talking to somebody and talking to yourself, even if it's in your head, and thinking, why am I feeling that way? Going deeper. It's beyond whatever it is that you think it is. There's always an underlying thing or emotion or something attached to whatever it is that's bothering you, and release that thought, release it, own up to it so that you can start the process of healing that wound and moving past it. If you're just feeling really negative or down or sad, say that, because I think when you say things, you release the power that thing is holding over you, and you realize it's not that scary, and you realize you can work through it. But that's totally your thing. I have no idea why you're in this rut. I wish I could speak to every single one of you and help you out and talk you through it, but I'm also not a therapist, but I also can't do that. But if there's something going on, allow yourself the space to admit it. You're a safe space. You're always safe to feel your feelings. Everything's okay. And start to work through those things. And the next thing after, and I won't share the whole 8-limb path. This isn't going to be about that. This is going to be about getting out of a rut. But the next one is contentment. So with contentment, it's knowing that the things that have happened in the past attract your attention not to hurt you. So reflecting on these things on the past is not a way to hurt you. It's actually a way to help you. By being aware of these things that have hurt you, that's your power. That's your self-awareness. That's your self-awareness. That's your self-acceptance. Hey, it's okay that I feel that way, or that happened. How can I work through this? It's not there to hurt you. It's there to help you, and it's there to guide you. And it's there to guide you to the next thing, that is self-discipline. And self-discipline is going to allow you to focus inwardly and do the things that you need to do for yourself to heal yourself. And then we have reflection, and then we have surrender. So those are some parts of it. But I wanted to really focus on cleanliness and contentment, because I think those things are really important to getting out of a rut, is to being really self-aware as to why you are there and the feelings that you're feeling, and allowing yourself to feel those things. And once you allow yourself, like I did this week, I allowed myself to take a break and to feel maybe unmotivated and to not force things. I know when to push myself, and I know when not to push myself. And I knew this week, don't push yourself. So I didn't. And I really turned inwardly and I said, what do you need, Nicole? And I gave myself everything that I needed. And every single walk that I went on, every single yoga class that I went to was intentional, and it was feeding my soul, and it was filling me with energy, and it was filling me with light, which is going to be something else that we're going to touch on too. But it was recharging me and not taking from me. And everything that I wanted to do, I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to be there. I wasn't like counting down the minutes so I was able to leave. So the next thing, like I said, to get out of this rut, and I brought up sourdough before, is a hobby. Is giving yourself something new to look forward to, trying something new, trying something different, doing something that excites you. And I love baking. I love cooking. And I really got into sourdough this week. And if you told me years ago, you're not going to work out this week, Nicole, but you're going to make a lot of sourdough and you're going to eat it all, like, I would be like, what? That's the worst combination that doesn't even make sense. You should be hitting the gym harder. But no, I wanted to make sourdough, and it excited me, and it made me excited to spring up out of bed in the morning, and it excited me to focus on something new and not put so much pressure on healing what's inside. Because if you're sitting here like, Nicole, you need to fix yourself, like you need to work through all these emotions. You don't have to do it all in one day. Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and suddenly be a different person. It takes time, but it takes awareness, and it also doesn't help to overthink things or hyperfixate on things or to put pressure on things. Whatever it was I was feeling, I surrendered to those emotions. I surrendered to those feelings. And then I was like, let me put some of this energy or attention elsewhere. And you'll find that when you put your energy elsewhere, one day you'll just be like, wait, I think I'm out of the rut. Like, I think I'm happy. Like, I think I had fun. I think I really enjoyed that. And you'll start to feel excited about something again and proud of yourself. And that's another thing, pride, feeling proud of yourself. And honestly, I was down bad for a minute with that sourdough for a minute, because I was like, looking at all the instructions and the yeast and the feeding and like the this and that and there's so many rules, and I was like, maybe I got in over my head. I was like, maybe the sourdough is a bad journey, because now I'm stressing about sourdough. Like, I found myself being like, when do I have to feed this thing next? Like, is it dead? Like, I was becoming really stressed over the sourdough for like just a second. I'm like, Nicole, relax. It's literally just sourdough, but it's because I care, and I don't do anything like half-assed, but I was really excited. I wanted it to be successful. But I started focusing all my energy on this sourdough, and it sounds ridiculous, but it's now become like my new passion. And I made like 3 loaves in 3 days, and that's a lot of time. Okay. I don't know if anybody makes sourdough here, but that's a lot of time. It requires a lot of attention, but I was home anyway this week. Like, because I took the week off, I was really able to lean into the experience of sourdough and understand it. And I was home. So I didn't want to just sit at home and stare at the ceilings. Like, I wanted something to do. I wanted to be excited to be home and to be in my space and embrace it. And I had this time on my hands. So I dove into sourdough. The sourdough community is really supportive, I will say. Everybody has been really supportive, and you guys will send me tips randomly, or you'll just be excited for me. But yeah, like making the sourdough, this is, again, I'm going to keep saying it sounds ridiculous. It's not ridiculous though, but it really filled my cup again. It made me excited about something again. And I learned a new skill, and I feel really good about myself. Like, I have something else to bring to the table, literally. Like, I have something else to bring to the table, but it's like a new interesting little thing about me. And I discovered something about myself, and I'm excited to get into all these different types of sourdough things now and different shapes. And I just ordered more proofing baskets this morning. Like, it's getting serious. I'm like, I need more than one, because I'm trying to make multiple loaves at once. So, yeah, like, I think give yourself a new hobby or explore a new hobby. If there's something that you've been wanting to do it. This is your week to do it. This is your time to excite yourself and give yourself something new to look forward to. Even if it's a new workout class, if it's a new coffee shop, if it's, maybe you want to go to a pottery class. That's something I've been wanting to do. Maybe I went to sunrise yoga one day this week, and that was fun. That's something I've been wanting to do and talking about doing, but like just never did. And I was like, let me do that, since I'm, just going to lean into the things that I feel like I want to do. And I think it does take that initial want to get out of a rut. Like, I think the first key thing to getting out of a rut is wanting to get out of a rut. Because I could have easily just stayed home and slept in and all this stuff, but I had to force myself a little bit. Like, Nicole, you're going to do this and you're going to enjoy it. Like, I know you are. And I loved it, and I had so much fun. And that also, like, sparked something in me too. And I started thinking, well, I would love to do this one day. And I really want to get more involved in this community and start going to the beach more again. And it kind of like gave me new like ideas, and it reminded me how much I loved getting up early, and how much I love being on the beach, and how much peace the beach brings me. But I wouldn't have known that if I didn't, explore that and kind of give myself the little push and the nudge to do that. So definitely explore something you've been wanting to explore, and just give yourself, like, be a kid again, and don't do anything other than the fact that you want to bring some joy into your life. So yeah, explore a little hobby. Another key way to getting out of your rut is to change your routine. And like I said, not going to the gym for a week definitely was a routine change for me. Going to the sunrise yoga was a routine change. Waking up early and trying to get out of the house was also a routine change for me, because I'd been really because I'd been in my little rut, I've been taking the morning so slow. Like I was dragging myself out of bed. I was, making myself go to the gym before I said, Nicole, give it a rest. And it was I was getting there at 10 a.m. And like I said, I was doing nothing when I was there. So switch up your routine. That's also exciting. That's something that makes you feel different and refreshed and like a new person. And you also never know, when you switch up your routine, even just by a little bit, you're going to see a whole new surroundings and whole new people. Even if I go on my walk an hour earlier, it's going to be a whole different wave of people and a different wave of things going on. And the sun's going to look different. And this is going to be different. You know what I mean? Everything's going to be a little bit different. So in the slightest ways, switch up your routine. Even if you usually go on a walk in one direction, go in the other direction, or take a different route. Go to the gym at a different time if that's something that you want to do. If you're driving home, take a different route. Take the scenic route. That is something that I think can keep you on a sort of routine, keep you on your routine, but make you excited about it. Because I know people can be in ruts, but you have to go to work. You have to do these same things. And maybe you're driving to work and you're not even present, right? You're just on autopilot. But if you take a different route, you're going to be less on autopilot. You're going to be forced to be more present. And maybe you're going to wow, that's a nice house. I never noticed that house, or I never noticed, those bushes. I don't know. It's just going to be a little bit more exciting if you switch up your routine in that way. And it's going to give you something to kind of look at, something else that I made a point of this week is I wanted to take a chance to talk to somebody or be curious about somebody that I never really was. And I don't mean a love interest. I mean, I decided to talk to somebody who I typically would have a really short exchange with. Whether it's my ballet guy, whether it's about somebody in my yoga teacher training who I never really spoke to, because we're a big group of people and we kind of all flock to, we have our little, not cliques, but there's people who are closer than others, and everybody has their little crew, everybody's friends with everybody, but I know more about some people than I do about other people. So I made it a point to learn something about somebody new, And this kind of gave me a little challenge, and it made me feel, one, really present, but two, I was opening the door for something new, and I was being more playful. And I had a couple longer exchanges than usual. And maybe this would be annoying to somebody who's don't do it if this person's in a rush, or if you're in a rush, or it's don't do it. There's a time and a place. But with my valet guy, it was we started talking about Halloween, and typically he'd be how's your Halloween? I'd be oh, it's good. How about yours? Good. And I was well, what did you do? And we got into all that. And then I asked him what his son was going to be for Halloween, and he's showing me pictures, and I asked him where they're going and what, just leaning into more conversations. And that's exciting. And that made me feel good and excited about something. It's it was a really good energy exchange, and to see his excitement about his son and this and that. It just gave me a new, it just felt refreshing. It made me feel oh, I'm living and he's living, and we all have these lives, and we should all be so grateful. And that got me out of my rut, hearing about somebody else's life and being wow, we're all experiencing the human experience, and we are so lucky to be able to do so. Even I went to sushi a couple of days ago, and the sushi guy commented on my tattoos, and he was oh, I love your tattoos. And I was thank you so much. And it could have ended there. That was it. That's typically how it goes. And I was do you have any tattoos? And he was yeah, I have these two. And he's I got this one with my wife, and this one matches. And I was oh, that's amazing. When did you get it? Are you getting any more? And what could have been a 30-second conversation turned into a 10-minute conversation. And then we exchanged names, and he was just really nice. And it felt nice to converse with somebody and maybe make their day. And because I feel like, I'm sure he has a lot of short conversations throughout the day that have no meaning, and I think don't really go that deep. And I'm trying to go deep with more people and to really be curious and take an interest in other people. And I think when you take an interest in other people's lives, you start to realize that the things going on in your life, your problems, your emotions, your feelings, all that stuff is temporary. And it's so small picture. Like the big picture is we are all just on this planet enjoying life. And we have so much to be grateful for. And then when you also speak to other people, and it's not always going to be a happy exchange, or it might not always be a good exchange, and you hear other people's stories, and you hear about the things that they have going on in your life, and you kind of open your eyes to those things and stop focusing so much on what's wrong in your life and what's going on with you and all these things with you. And you start to think somebody else is, going through a harder time, or somebody else has something else going on, or somebody else needs my help or my prayers or my thoughts. And maybe I could put some of that energy or give some of that energy to them where they really need it. And you just start to realize that your problems aren't so big. You don't have to put such a microscope on these things. Like, we make big problems and big deals out of things sometimes that don't need to be. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves sometimes when we shouldn't. And we can really be our own biggest enemies in these times when we're on our ruts and our toughest critics, and we are really hard on ourselves, and we think that, our problems are a lot bigger than they are. And we're so hyper fixated that we don't even get to see all the good and all the things that are happening for us around us. And my yoga teacher said something a couple of days ago. She said, Janet, I love you so much. Shout out, Janet. She said, one bad thing could happen in our day. And if you focus on that, you're only going to focus on the one bad thing. But there could be one bad thing that happened for you in that day, but you don't realize that 10 things are also working in your favor. And they could be the smallest things, but they could also be bigger things that you're not noticing. And I think when we're feeling down and we're feeling like we're in that slump, we're not focusing on the good things. We're focusing on the bad things. We're not being present. And which leads me to something else, which is gratitude. And I think gratitude is the answer to anything. If you ask me how to get over a breakup, gratitude. How to get over my eating disorder, gratitude. How to get out of a depression, gratitude. How to get detached, gratitude. When you have gratitude, when you are grateful for everything, the present moment that you are given, you can't be upset about anything. There's always something to be grateful for. So in your life, if you feel like, I don't want to go to the gym, I'm in such a slump, I don't want to get up, I'm grateful that I can even wake up in the morning, that my two legs work, and that I can use them to exercise and go on a walk. I get to do those things. Some people don't get to do that. Some people don't have that privilege. And that can be annoying, I think, sometimes. And it's just like somebody's so, when you start overusing gratitude of like, you don't have to be grateful for like, I'm grateful for this dead flower right here. It's like, okay, that's like a lot, you know what I mean? But like, to be grateful for the things that you have shifts your mindset in such a positive way and diverts your focus to everything that's positive. And your mindset is so important and powerful. And our minds can speak such negative things to us. I think that's the default. A lot of us are programmed that way. That's just humans. I think we like are programmed to like have anxiety and these negative thoughts because we're trying to stay safe. We're trying to protect ourselves. We're trying not to let anything harm us. It's our self-defense. It's our self-preservation. We don't live in a time anymore where we have to like self-preserve that much. Like we're not all trying to survive every single day for the most part. Like we're not going out and hunting our food. We're not, constantly on the lookout for attackers. Hopefully not. Like but we still have those instincts. And a lot of that is why when we're in a situation, we constantly go to the negatives. Like we do that because that's how we're protecting ourselves. We're thinking about all the possible outcomes. But we have to reprogram our brains to think about all the positive things that can happen or all the positive things that are happening for us. So to practice gratitude, to practice mindfulness, to do things as simple as tell yourself positive affirmations in the morning, which is another amazing way to get out of a rut, is to have little phrases that you say to yourself and little reminders for yourself throughout the day. And don't just say them in the morning, say them throughout the day. And something that I've been doing, and I shared this on TikTok, is my elevator affirmations, because I found myself getting so annoyed in the elevator that like, I don't know why. Like, I think there was an elevator down. There's always an elevator down in my building. And it's like, it's a big building. So when we only have 2 working, it's like we're stopping at every stop. Like, it's annoying, especially if you're in a rush, which nobody cares that you're in a rush. Like, everybody else is trying to go somewhere too. Nobody knows your schedule. So it's like when you're at the one, the elevator being are we stopping again? It's like, yeah, well, the world's not about you. And I don't know that you're in a rush. Like, that's your problem, not mine. And I kind of be like, Nicole, like, this is your problem. It's nobody else's. And like, we're all in this elevator ride together. Like, everybody's stopping, everybody's waiting. You don't get the express ride down. Okay. That's life. So I started being like, okay, realistically, even though the elevator ride feels like 20 minutes long, it's probably 2 minutes. Even if we make all the stops, like, it's probably 2 minutes long and you have 2 minutes to spare. But why don't you use that time accordingly? Like, I found myself anxious in elevators because like you can't use your phone in an elevator, which we all have like popcorn brain, right? Like, it's like we always have to like open our phones in the elevators and look at something, whatever. And I really challenge myself not to when I have that like urge to like open up my phone when I just had it open 5 seconds ago. And I was like, what can I do that's constructive in this elevator time? And I thought, Nicole, you can tell yourself positive things. You can feed yourself positive thoughts and affirmations for these 2 minutes that you're in the elevator. So every time I get into an elevator now, I either close my eyes or have them open, whatever I'm feeling, and I smile and I say my affirmations in my head, not out loud. I have too much social awareness for that. I wish I didn't. I wish like I could just say my affirmations out loud. Like, okay, guys, we're going to say our affirmations together. Like, let's get through this together. That'd be amazing. But I just say it to myself. So I use the 2 minutes to just talk to myself. And now the elevator ride's more pleasant. And I'm doing something with my brain and my time instead of focusing on all the negative and the annoying things and my to-do list and yada, yada, yada. And then it accumulates to maybe, 10 minutes a day that I tell myself positive thoughts. I'm in the elevator a lot. And that I think is so, so important to getting yourself out of a rut, is making sure your brain is in the right space and making sure your brain's a safe space and making sure that you are focusing on the positive things. The next thing, and this one I'm going to be real about, like everybody says, make a to-do list, like write all the stuff that you have to do down. I hate a list. A lot of people love a list. It makes me feel like a little bit overwhelmed. I'll like keep adding to it. And I'm really probably not even going to look at the list after I make the list. I'm not going to, like, I used to make grocery lists and never even look at my phone or never even bring, like when I used to write an actual physical grocery list, it's like I would forget it at home. And I think like make a list sounds nice. I think if you have that personality type or that like type A personality where you can make a list and then check it off and go through the things, absolutely do that. I think it's a great way to organize your thoughts, organize the things that you need to do. And that might make like things look more accomplishable, more attainable for you if you have the list and you can see those things and feel that like feeling you get when you check it off. Like you can feel really accomplished. And I think that could be amazing for you. So if you can do that, do that. I'm just not going to sit here and lie and say, I made a list and I checked things off, because I absolutely didn't. But I made a mental list of a few important things that I wanted to accomplish for that week or even the month. Like sometimes I think like big picture, like I like to overwhelm myself and think I have to do everything in one day, and that's just not realistic, and that's not going to happen. Like sometimes when I make a list, I feel like, oh my God, I have to do this all in one day, and suddenly I'm frantic, and then that's when I become paralyzed, and then I feel less motivated to do anything, and I get nothing done. But I make like a little list of like, okay, what do I want to like get done at least by this week? And I make them small, attainable things. It's nothing crazy, but it's really just getting that momentum in the build up. So organize your little to-do list, whether you want to do it mentally, whether you want to make a few bullet points on your notes on your phone, or you want to write it down, or maybe you have a whiteboard or put it as your phone background. I don't know. No, that sounds stressful. Don't do that. But having like something that you can see and organize, like something that's organized and you can check off. And I think it's so important to make these things attainable, because if it doesn't feel attainable, you're not going to want to do it, and it's going to deter you more, and you're going to be really disinterested, and you're going to hate it, and the idea of doing it is going to kill you. So just make these things really small and as attractive as possible. And I think a good way to make something attractive to the point that you're like, oh, I'm excited to do this, or I want to do it, is to pair something with it that you enjoy. When I do my laundry, I always throw on it. That's like my reward, is I throw on a good podcast, and maybe I even like pour myself a little poppy, or I call a friend. I like to do that too, and like catch up with somebody while I'm doing my laundry, because it distracts me, but it doesn't feel like so like, oh, I'm folding my laundry. It's like, no, I'm watching a podcast, or I'm talking to a friend and I'm doing laundry. 2 birds, 1 stone. And I don't even realize, like, it just makes the overall experience way more exciting than just, doing the laundry. Whether it's something that you check off your to-do list, whether it's something new that you try, whether it's a small goal that you accomplish, celebrate it. Be proud of yourself. Like, take a minute, stop trying to move on to the next thing. Because then I think also when you don't relish in the moment, when you don't tell yourself, wow, you did a really good job, like give yourself a little pat on the back. Like, if you don't do that, it's like, why did we do it? So remember to always celebrate yourself and just celebrate your progress and be proud of yourself. Give yourself a little sweet treat. Maybe, get a little cupcake. I don't know, get a donut, get a coffee. And tell yourself like you deserve it. Like you did that. Stop being like, I think that we need to celebrate the bare minimum from ourselves. I made like a video on that. It was like, we give men the bare credit for doing the bare minimum all the time. Why don't we give ourselves credit for doing the bare minimum? And it's like, if you did a really small task that day that maybe is not that small to the average person, but that's fine, because don't compare yourself to anybody. But maybe getting yourself out of a rut means getting out of bed before 8 a.m. and making your bed and making yourself a breakfast and going outside, and maybe like doing 30 minutes of movement. Maybe that's your getting out of a rut. And maybe that seems easy to some people, and some people are like, what? Like, of course, like that's the bare minimum thing we do. Like, wow, you got out of bed. It's like, yeah, but you did that. And maybe that was really hard for you. So don't compare yourself to other people, but also celebrate your wins. Give yourself validation, and always be proud of yourself for anything that you accomplish. And alongside with that is be really kind to yourself. We're so kind to others. We give so many people so much grace and patience, and we understand, and we can give great advice to other people. And if somebody's going through a phase or somebody's feeling down, we're really gentle with them. Be the same way with yourself. Like, something that I love to do at the end of yoga too is they always say like, hug your knees together. At the end of yoga, you're like hugging yourself in the little fetal position and embrace yourself. Great. Thank yourself for being here and showing up for yourself today. And then I remember in one class, one girl said, hug your knees together. And then she said, now hug yourself like you're hugging a loved one. And suddenly I hugged myself tighter. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I why am I not giving myself the same, like my tightness shouldn't have changed. Like the hug shouldn't have changed. I should be giving myself the same energy and the same love that I give other people, if not more, because it's so important to give yourself love before you can give it to anybody else, before you can show up for anybody else. You have to give it to yourself. So I have started practicing that. So yeah, be really kind to yourself and be patient. And I think this is the end of the episode. Hi.
Can't drive.
What do you
I literally can't drive.
So wait, let me just wrap this up 1 second. Okay. But that's the end of this episode. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you don't follow me already, follow me on Instagram at Nicole Doyon, TikTok Nicole_Doyon, Snapchat Nicole Doyon. And yeah, thank you guys for coming back. I will talk to you next week. Bye. Okay. Hi.